thought I'd make some videos when I go out. I hit golf balls in this little field here. Maybe I'll show you the field. Give it a shot. See? Little person running over there. But it's nice open field. And it's kind of peaceful here. Not too many people come out here to the park. I guess the ticks scare them off. But anyway. So, since I hit golf balls, I'll call these videos Golf of Perception, because there's this gulf between my perception of the world and everybody else's, pretty much. Well, as you can see in the video comments, there are a few people who understand what I'm talking about, but the average human being isn't going to get any of it. They're just going to say, what are you talking about? You're too dark, you're pessimistic, lighten up, chill, all that kind of crap, because they don't really, they're comfortable with the nature thing. I guess that's the first gulf in perception. I have to admit, in my younger years, I was fooled by nature too. Even though I saw quite early that it was quite brutal and nasty. I lived in Louisiana, the South. Lots of wildlife down there. Lots of, especially if you look for it, lots of bugs and little predators and stuff. So there's a lot to observe if you care to. The life struggle is going on every millisecond down there. And it's all around you, just surrounded by it. It's in your house even. You can't avoid the life. It's everywhere. And even in that environment, even though I knew there was horror, somehow nature made sense. Yeah, I gave it a buy. I said, yeah, well, it's just the system. It's just the system. Like somehow it didn't have to account for itself. Like somehow judging it was beyond my right. And I guess that was just because I felt I was too caught up in being a human being, too part of it, I guess, in a way, to be objective enough to look at it for what it was. Too caught up maybe in the fact that I was pleased by parts of it, a blue sky and fresh air, and even a hurricane. It was exciting and interesting, and things happened, and well, whatever. Won't go and just wax poetic, because that's the trap. It's the poetry. There's a poetry to all this bullshit, and it fools us. It softens the painting. It makes it. It takes the harsh edges off of the reality, and so through time, over time, I don't know exactly when I started to realize that there's nothing preventing me from judging the natural world and seeing nature for what it is, just dumb forces. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've come to realize just how obvious it is what we are. Even pretty recently, I've come to realize that it's this biosphere really is. The whole key to it was the fact that all these animals had to live on top of each other, and this cycle of life keeps perpetuating and keeps mixing the soup. And there's just layers of biosphere. There's just layers of living things, and they are quite obviously quite rational from a standard of something that has, from a sociopath, from something that has no compassion or empathy or concern. They're quite obviously built to take advantage of the environment, to maximize what's offered, the opportunity for conquest, or however you want to look at it, to do the consuming and reproducing thing. And we're just trapped on an island, and so we're stuck doing that. Organisms have to do it. There's not an alternative. I don't think my cigarette went out. Bummer. Don't have any matches. So anyway, so most people just stick with the poetry, or they stick with the conditioned notion that nature's beyond a judgeable force. Even when they're atheists, they still connect it somehow. It's still part of a God plan, or it's still part of something that's beyond their reach. They can't look at it honestly for what it is, and it's just chemistry, first, but more importantly, the life part of it is this reproducing cell thing, and it's all made of that. It's all zillions and zillions and zillions of cells, all intent on reproducing, either as a colony or as we are a colony, or as a single entity. But it's just it's just a DNA molecule all over the place, attempting to consume and reproduce. The only mission. That's the only mission of any reproducing piece of chemistry. And it's going to be the only mission, even if there were other life out there in the universe, they would be stuck with the same problem, that they would be created by forces that just intended for them to maximize that reproduction. That's the game. Consume, reproduce. Consume, reproduce. It's just that simple. And but most people aren't ever going to see it that simple. They're always going to try to make it into something. Life is something. We're going somewhere. We're doing something beyond just consuming and reproducing. But that really is all there is here. That's all this biosphere is consumption and reproduction. It has no soul. It has no heart. It has nothing. It's as all it has is this element of it, this part of it, this fungus that's growing, that has this sentience, this capacity to be aware and conscious and feel. And that's where the word harm is invented, is when you have this vulnerable population. So, I mean, that has obvious implications, but I'll go into that in the next video. So, anyway, just an experiment. See if this works as a video format. A little hard to think in the wide open spaces, but we'll work on it. I have to reach over here and hit this little button, and I'm failing to do that properly.